Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the most valuable coins in American history and show you how something as small as a quarter could be worth a fortune. Rarest coins. Today we're diving into the fascinating story of the 1965 Washington quarter. This is a coin you've probably seen dozens of times. You may have even used it to buy gum or feed a parking meter. But one rare version of this quarter sold for a staggering $1.7 million. Yes, you heard that right. A coin worth 25 cents ended up being worth more than a mansion. Now you might be asking, how is that even possible? What makes the 1965 quarter so special, and could there be more of them out there waiting to be discovered, maybe even in your own change jar? Stay tuned, because I'm about to walk you through the full history of the 1965 Washington quarter, the secrets behind its incredible value, and how to tell if you've got a potential treasure hiding in plain sight. Let's begin with a bit of history. Before 1965, U.S. quarters were made of 90% silver and 10% copper. But starting in the mid-1960s, the United States Mint made a huge change. Due to rising silver prices and a nationwide coin shortage, the Mint decided to remove silver from circulating coins altogether. So in 1965, for the first time since the early 20th century, the Washington quarter was made using a copper-nickel clad composition instead of silver. The change was massive. Not only did it affect the coin's weight and appearance, but it also created confusion. Many people weren't aware that the silver was being removed. In fact, the Mint was so concerned about hoarding that they didn't even put mint marks on quarters from 1965, 1966, or 1967. That's right, no D for Denver, no S for San Francisco, nothing. Just a plain date and design. Now let's talk about the design itself. The 1965 Washington quarter still features the iconic portrait of George Washington on the obverse, designed by John Flanagan. It also retained the heraldic eagle on the reverse, standing proud with its wings spread, perched on a bundle of arrows and surrounded by olive branches. It looked like every other quarter from the past few decades, but under the surface, big changes had taken place. With hundreds of millions of these new copper-nickel quarters produced in 1965. What could possibly make one worth over $1 million? The answer lies in a very rare and very specific mistake. Here's the story. In the early months of 1965, during the transition from silver to clad coinage, a small number of quarters were accidentally struck on leftover 90% silver planchets. These were blank silver coins that were meant to be used for 1964 quarters, but somehow ended up being used in 1965, even after the official switch to copper-nickel. That mistake created one of the rarest and most valuable error coins in U.S. history, a 1965 quarter struck on a silver planchet. And since the Mint wasn't using mint marks during those years, it's almost impossible to tell where they were made. That mystery just adds to the coin's appeal and rarity. One of these rare error quarters eventually made its way into the hands of a collector who recognized it immediately. The weight was slightly off. Instead of the 5.67 grams of a normal copper-nickel quarter, this one weighed about 6.25 grams, the same as a pre-1965 silver quarter. The edge also lacked the telltale copper stripe that modern quarters have. After professional grading and verification, the coin was sold at a private auction for a record-breaking $1.7 million. That's more than 6 million times its face value. A quarter that someone might have spent on a gumball ended up being a millionaire's prize. Here's the big question. How can you tell if your 1965 quarter is worth $1.7 million? Here's what to look for. First, grab a scale. A genuine copper-nickel 1965 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If it weighs closer to 6.25 grams, you might have something special. Next, look at the coin's edge. Modern quarters have a copper-colored edge because of the copper core. But a silver planchet quarter will have a completely silver edge, no trace of copper showing. Also, listen to the sound. Silver coins have a distinct ring when dropped compared to the duller sound of clad coins. It's not a foolproof method, but for experienced ears, it can be a helpful clue. If your coin looks and sounds unusual and the weight checks out, do not clean it. Do not try to polish it. That could destroy its value. Instead, Take it to a reputable coin dealer or submit it to a grading service like PCGS or NGC. These experts can confirm if it's a true silver planchet error and assign a grade based on its condition. Even if it's not in perfect shape, the value could still be massive. These coins are so rare that even circulated examples could be worth thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. But that perfect specimen, flawless, shiny, and rare, that's the one that broke records. So why do people pay so much for coins like this? It's the thrill of the find. It's the mystery. It's owning a mistake that was never meant to exist. It's a piece of American history that defied the odds and slipped through the cracks at a time of huge economic change. That's what makes these coins so incredibly valuable. The 1965 Washington quarter isn't just another old coin. It represents a turning point in U.S. coinage. It marks the end of the silver era and the beginning of modern clad coins. And in one rare case, it bridges both worlds. A coin struck in silver when it never should have been. So before you toss your change into a vending machine, take a second to look. You never know what might be hiding there. That plain old 1965 quarter could be the key to a seven-figure payday. Thanks for watching. If you found this story interesting, give the video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into rare and valuable coins. Hit the notification bell so you never miss a story that could change your life. And let us know in the comments, have you ever found a strange or rare coin in your pocket change? Are you checking your 1965 quarters now? Remember, the next millionaire collector's item might already be in your hands. Stay curious, keep hunting, and happy collecting. If you'd like this adapted for a YouTube short or want a version for a blog post or podcast, I can help with that too. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover the secrets of coins that could be sitting right in your pocket right now. Rarest coins. Today we're going deep into the story of a Washington quarter that's not just old pocket change, but possibly one of the most valuable modern quarters ever discovered. We're talking about the 1993 Washington quarter. That's right, a coin that originally had a face value of just 25 cents. And yet one example of this very coin has reportedly sold for an unbelievable $1.3 million. That's right. $1.3 million. What makes the 1993 quarter so special? Why is one specific coin worth more than a luxury car or even a house? And most importantly, could you have one of these quarters and not even know it? Stick with me, because we're diving into the full story, the history, the key details, and how this ordinary-looking coin became a numismatic legend. Let's start with some background. The Washington quarter has been in circulation since 1932. It was first created to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the original obverse featured Washington's left-facing profile, a design that remained largely unchanged for decades. The reverse at the time showed an eagle with spread wings perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches beneath it. A bold American symbol of strength and peace. By 1993, the quarter still carried that classic design. It wasn't until later in the decade that the U.S. Mint would begin rolling out the State Quarter series, which changed the design every few months. So the 1993 quarter is part of the last era of the classic Washington Eagle reverse. The D on the coin, of course, means it was minted in Denver. In that year, the Denver Mint produced over 500 million quarters. So naturally, you're thinking, if there are hundreds of millions of them, how could one be worth over $1 million? Well, here's where it gets interesting. Among those hundreds of millions was one coin that stood out from all the rest. One coin that caught the attention of collectors, auction houses, and numismatic historians. That coin had two things that made it incredibly rare and valuable. First, it was struck on the wrong planchet. That means it was accidentally produced using a coin blank intended for a different denomination, most likely a silver planchet or even one meant for a foreign coin. This kind of error doesn't happen often, and when it does, it creates what collectors call a transitional error or off-metal error. Second, the coin was found in near-perfect mint condition. That means it had never been circulated. No scratches, no dings, no wear. It had the shine, the detail, and the crispness of a coin that was freshly struck and immediately preserved. It received a professional grading of MS 68, which is an incredibly high grade, especially for a coin from the 1990s. Those two factors combined, a rare mint error and pristine condition, made the coin a one-of-a-kind treasure. It was eventually sold through a private auction and made headlines for fetching $1.3 million. That's more than 5 million times its face value. Incredible. The big question now is, how can you spot one? How can you tell if your 1993 D Washington quarter is worth a fortune? Here's what you should do. First, pull out any 1993 D quarters you might have. Look at the mint mark. The D should be located on the right side, just behind Washington's ponytail. That confirms it came from the Denver Mint. Now examine the coin closely. Use a magnifying glass or even a macro lens on your phone. Check for any strange coloration which might suggest the coin was struck on a different metal than usual. Pay attention to the weight too. A normal 1993 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If it weighs significantly more or less, that could be a clue. Also inspect for double strikes, off-center strikes, or other striking errors. These visual flaws might seem like imperfections, but in the world of rare coins, they could be the very thing that makes your coin worth a fortune. That if you find anything suspicious or unusual, don't spend it. Do not clean it. And definitely don't toss it in a drawer and forget about it. The next step is to get the coin professionally evaluated by a grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations can authenticate the coin and assign it a grade. If it turns out to be a legit mint error with high condition, it could be worth hundreds, thousands, or in an extremely rare case, like the $1 million one, over $1 million. You may be asking, why do collectors and investors pay so much for coins like this? It's a mix of rarity, history, condition, and demand. Serious collectors want to own the most unique and pristine examples of coins from every era. And with error coins, especially ones that slip through the tight quality control of the U.S. Mint, their value skyrockets when there's only one or two known examples. It's like finding a typo in a book that was already printed and released to the public. That small mistake suddenly becomes a collector's dream. The lesson here is simple. Don't ignore your pocket change. The next time you get coins back from a store or go digging through a coin jar, check every quarter. That ordinary-looking coin in your hand might just be an extremely valuable piece of American history. The 1993 D Washington quarter might seem like just another coin, but in one rare case, it turned out to be a true hidden treasure. $1.3 million worth of treasure, to be exact. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon so you never miss a chance to learn about the next $1 million coin. Leave a comment if you've ever found a rare coin, or if you're going to start checking your change more closely now. And remember, sometimes the biggest surprises come in the smallest packages. Keep hunting and happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like a shorter version, a voiceover-friendly rewrite, or one tailored to a different coin. Welcome back to the channel where we explore coins that might look ordinary but are worth an absolute fortune. Today we're talking about a coin you might have passed over without a second thought. It's the 1987 D Washington quarter, a 25-cent piece that you might see in your change every day. But what if I told you that one of these coins has been reported to sell for an astonishing $1.4 million? That's right, a coin worth 25 cents selling for the price of a luxury home. What makes this specific 1987 D quarter so incredibly valuable? Is it a rare error, a minting mistake, or is it simply a perfect specimen preserved against all odds? Let's dig into the full story and break down everything you need to know about the 1987 D Washington quarter and how you can tell if you have one that's worth a life-changing amount of money. Let's start with a little background. The Washington quarter has been around since 1932 when it was first minted to honor the 200th birthday of George Washington. The design featured a portrait of Washington on the front, or obverse, and a bold American eagle on the reverse. This classic design by sculptor John Flanagan became an iconic part of American coinage and remained relatively unchanged until the late 1990s when the state quarter program began. The 1987 D quarter comes from the Denver Mint. That's what the small D under Washington's ponytail represents. That year, the Denver Mint produced over 500 million quarters. So at first glance, this coin seems extremely common. And for the most part, it is. Most 1987 D quarters are worth only face value. But, as with so many things in the world of coins, one unusual detail can change everything. Now here's the million-dollar twist. Among those hundreds of millions of coins produced, a few rare quarters were discovered with major minting errors. These aren't the kind of tiny flaws you need a magnifying glass to find. We're talking about large-scale striking mistakes, off-metal errors, and extreme anomalies that should never have left the mint. One of these coins in particular, a 1987 D Washington quarter, was discovered with a dramatic mint error and was graded at an exceptionally high mint state, MS68 or possibly higher. The coin had a unique combination of qualities. First, it was struck on the wrong planchet. This means it was not minted on the standard copper-nickel blank used for quarters, but on a planchet mint for a different coin, possibly a foreign denomination or even a silver alloy planchet that somehow made its way into the machinery. The weight of the coin was off, and the sound was different when dropped. Most importantly, the edge of the coin had no visible copper layer. That is a major red flag for a Washington quarter made after 1965, since they should all have a visible copper core along the edge. Second, the condition of the coin was extraordinary. It showed no wear, no scratches, no circulation marks, and had perfect luster. It was likely pulled directly from a mint bag and never used. The surface details were so crisp that under magnification, even the finest lines in Washington's hair and the feathers of the eagle were razor-sharp. Because of its rarity, its incredible condition, and the mystery of its off-metal strike. This one-of-a-kind 1987 D quarter was authenticated and sold at a private auction for a shocking $1.4 million. That sale made headlines across numismatic communities and reinforced one powerful idea. Sometimes the most ordinary-looking coins can turn out to be national treasures. So here's what you need to know if you want to check your own change and possibly strike gold. First, grab a scale. A normal 1987 D quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your quarter weighs significantly more or less, you might be looking at an off-metal strike. Next, examine the edge. Does it show the usual copper stripe that modern quarters have? If it doesn't, if the edge looks silver all the way through, that's a huge clue that the coin might have been struck on the wrong blank. Also, look for doubling on the letters or numbers. That means parts of the design were struck more than once during the minting process. This can dramatically increase a coin's value, especially if the doubling is visible on words like liberty or I in God we trust. And finally, check the condition. The cleaner and shinier the coin, the better. Coins that haven't been circulated, called mint state coins, are much more valuable. If your coin looks uncirculated, has no scratches, and shines like the day it was made, then you could be looking at a serious collector's item. If your 1987 D quarter seems unusual in any of these ways, your next step should be to send it to a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. These organizations will confirm the authenticity of the coin, identify any mint errors, and give it an official grade. That grade can dramatically influence the value, sometimes adding thousands or even millions of dollars. Now let's talk about why people pay this kind of money for a coin. It's not just about the metal or the design. It's about rarity, history, and perfection. Coins like the million-dollar 1987 D quarter are true accidents of history. They weren't supposed to exist. And when something that rare shows up in nearly flawless condition, collectors and investors are willing to go all in. These coins tell a story of human error, of hidden treasure, of a time when something slipped through the system and became a piece of numismatic magic. They are relics of a moment that cannot be recreated. That's what gives them value far beyond their face amount. So the next time you get change from a vending machine or dig through your old coin jar, pay attention to the details. That average-looking quarter from 1987 might be more than just a coin. It could be your lucky break. Thanks for tuning in. If you found this video helpful or just fascinating, make sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more stories about rare and valuable coins you might already own. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss our next episode. And tell us in the comments, have you ever come across a strange or unusual coin in your pocket change? Are you going to start checking your 1987 D quarters? Now remember, the world's next million-dollar coin could be hiding in plain sight. Stay curious, keep collecting, and as always, happy hunting. Let me know if you'd like a voiceover version, a condensed script for Shorts or TikTok, or even a blog-friendly rewrite. Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel where we dive into the hidden treasures that could be sitting right in your pocket change. Today we're talking about a Washington quarter that has taken the coin collecting world by storm. Rarest coins. That's right. The 1995 D Washington quarter. One of these coins has reportedly sold for an absolutely insane price, a jaw-dropping $1.2 million. You heard that right. A single quarter, 25 cents, sold for over $1 million. But why? What makes it so special? Could you be holding one without even knowing it? Stick around because I'm going to walk you through everything: the history, the design, what to look for, and how a humble 1995 D quarter became one of the most sought-after coins in recent years. Section 1. Background and history. Let's start with a bit of background. The Washington quarter has been a staple of American currency since 1932. It was originally introduced to commemorate the 200th birthday of George Washington, and over the decades it has seen a number of design changes, mint marks, and metal compositions. By 1995. The quarter was still using the same basic design introduced in 1932. On the obverse, or front of the coin, is the profile of George Washington, designed by John Flanagan. The reverse still featured the majestic eagle with outstretched wings perched on a bundle of arrows, symbolizing strength and readiness to defend. Olive branches beneath the eagle represent peace. The D mint mark on the 1995 quarter indicates it was minted in Denver. That year, the Denver Mint produced hundreds of millions of quarters. So, what could possibly make one of these common coins worth more than $1 million? Section 2. The $1 million coin. Let's get into the story of the 1995 D Washington quarter that reportedly sold for $1.2 million. This particular coin wasn't just a regular 1995 D quarter. It was an extreme rarity, one of a kind due to a combination of factors. First off, this coin was in near-perfect condition, graded as MS 68 or possibly even higher. That alone makes it incredibly rare. Most quarters from that year were circulated heavily, tossed in pockets, wallets, vending machines, so finding one that's basically flawless is already a tall order. But here's where it gets even more interesting. This specific coin had a major mint error. And in the world of coin collecting, mint errors can mean huge money, if they're rare enough. Now, what kind of error are we talking about? It could be a double die error, a broad strike, off-center strike, or even a transitional planchet error where the coin was struck on a different metal than intended. In the case of the $1.2 million quarter, reports suggest it was a double strike with an off-metal composition. That means it was accidentally struck more than once, and on the wrong type of coin blank. These kinds of mistakes are incredibly rare, and when they happen, they create what collectors call a numismatic unicorn. A coin so unusual and rare that its value skyrockets at auction. Combine that error with an immaculate mint state condition, and you've got the recipe for a record-breaking sale. Section 3. How to spot one. So now you're wondering, could I have one of these coins? How do I tell if my 1995 D Washington quarter is worth serious money? Here's what to look for. First, check the mint mark. It should be a D, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. That tells you it came from the Denver Mint. Next, look at the coin's surface. Is it clean, shiny, and free from scratches, nicks, or wear? That could indicate a high-grade coin, and higher grades mean higher value. Now check for any oddities. Is the coin off-center? Are there doubling effects on the letters or numbers? Does the metal look strange or different? If anything looks unusual, that could be your ticket to something special. If you find anything that raises your eyebrows, do not spend that coin. Store it safely and take it to a reputable coin dealer or get it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. Their experts can determine if you've got a standard quarter or $1 million marvel. Section 4. Why it matters. So why does all this matter? Because coins like the 1995 D quarter tell us something incredible. They show that mistakes can be valuable. That sometimes the most ordinary object, something you might find under a couch cushion, can turn out to be worth a fortune. It also fuels the excitement of the hunt. Every time you get change at a store or dig through an old coin jar, there's a possibility, however small, that you'll find something truly rare. Something that turns heads and makes headlines. OUTRO, call to action. So there you have it. The 1995 D Washington quarter, a coin you'd probably ignore if you saw it, but one rare version of it has changed everything. Worth over $1 million, it's a reminder that treasures can still be found in the most unexpected places. Have you checked your quarters lately? If not, maybe it's time to start. Let me know in the comments if you've ever found a rare or unusual coin in your pocket change. And don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update on the next coin that might make you a millionaire. Thanks for watching and happy hunting. Would you like a shorter version, or a version tailored for TikTok or Instagram Reels as well? Welcome back to the channel where we reveal the hidden value behind the coins you see. Every rarest coins. Today's video is all about a Washington quarter that may look like nothing special, but under the right circumstances, it could be worth a fortune. I'm talking about the 1997 P Washington quarter, a coin that was struck for everyday use, but in one incredible case, ended up selling for an unbelievable $1.1 million. That's right. A 25-cent piece, a coin that probably passed through vending machines, gas stations, and pockets across the country, ended up in a private auction selling for more than $1 million. So what makes this coin so special? How can something so common turn into something so incredibly valuable? And is there a chance that you could have one of these quarters without even knowing it? Stick around, because I'm going to walk you through the full story. We'll cover the history, the design, the mintage details, the extraordinary error that led to this record-breaking price, and how you can check your own 1997 quarters to see if you're holding a jackpot in your hand. Let's start with the basics. The Washington quarter has been around since 1932. It was introduced to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The original design featured a left-facing portrait of Washington on the obverse, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. That design stayed largely the same for decades. By 1997, the Washington quarter still featured the familiar eagle reverse, with its wings outstretched and clutching a bundle of arrows, representing strength and military readiness. Below that, an olive branch symbolized peace. These design elements had become iconic in American coinage. Now let's focus on the 1997 P specifically. The P Mint mark means this coin was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. That year, the Philadelphia Mint struck hundreds of millions of these quarters, over 595 million to be exact. That's an enormous number, which means most 1997 P quarters are extremely common and worth only face value. But here's where things get interesting. Among those hundreds of millions, there have been reports of an extremely rare and unusual mint error that slipped through the cracks. And one particular 1997 P quarter featuring this error was discovered in pristine condition. That coin was later authenticated, graded, and sold for a staggering $1.1 million. What made that specific quarter so valuable? It was a combination of two very rare factors. First, the coin was struck on the wrong planchet. This means it wasn't minted on a standard quarter blank. Instead, it was struck on a planchet intended for a different coin altogether, possibly a $50 or even a foreign denomination. This kind of error is incredibly rare and often leads to noticeable differences in weight, thickness, and sometimes even diameter. Second, the coin was found in near-perfect mint state condition. It was graded MS-68 or higher, which is nearly unheard of for circulation coins from the late 90s. Most coins from that time period show signs of wear, even if they were barely used. But this coin was preserved in flawless condition, possibly pulled straight from a mint bag and stored carefully for years. Those two factors together, a dramatic off-metal mint error and a nearly perfect grade, created a once-in-a-lifetime coin. Collectors and investors went wild when it hit the market. After expert authentication and grading, it sold through a high-profile private auction for an eye-popping $1.1 million. So, here's the big question. How can you tell if you have one of these rare 1997 P quarters? First, you'll want to check the mint mark. Make sure it has a P on the obverse side, just to the right of Washington's ponytail. That confirms it was struck in Philadelphia. Next, weigh the coin. A standard 1997 P quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs noticeably more or less, that could be your first clue. Off-metal errors almost always involve a weight discrepancy. Then, inspect the coin's edges. Modern quarters made with a copper-nickel clad composition have a distinctive two-tone edge with a copper stripe. If your coin has a solid silver-colored edge with no visible copper, it might have been struck on a different type of blank. You should also look for any other unusual details. Is the coin slightly thicker or thinner than normal? Does it look off-center? Does it have doubled lettering or odd surface textures? These are all indicators that the coin may have a mint error. If you spot anything strange, the most important thing to do is preserve the coin. Do not clean it. Do not polish it. Do not store it in anything that might cause scratches. The next step is to send the coin to a reputable grading service like PCGS or NGC. These professionals can verify whether you have a genuine error coin and assign a grade to it. Even if it's not worth millions, a rare error from 1997 in mint state condition could still fetch hundreds or thousands of dollars. That's a lot of money for a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about. Now, you might be wondering, why would someone pay so much for a simple quarter? The truth is, rare coins are more than just money. They are pieces of history. They represent moments of human error, mechanical failure, and pure chance. Collectors love these stories. They love owning a piece of something that was never meant to exist. When you combine rarity, condition, and a great backstory, the price can climb into the stratosphere. That's exactly what happened with the 1997 P quarter that sold for $1.1 million. It wasn't just a coin. It was a once-in-a-generation discovery. Oh, what's the lesson here? Never underestimate the power of pocket change. The next time you get a handful of coins from a store or find an old stash in a drawer, take a closer look. That 1997 P quarter might not just be 25 cents. It might be your ticket to something much, much bigger. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story and want to learn more about rare and valuable coins that could be hiding in plain sight, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Tap the notification bell so you never miss an update. And let us know in the comments if you've ever found a strange or valuable coin in your collection. Stay curious, keep checking your change, and as always, happy collecting. Would you like me to turn this into a shorter version for a YouTube short or TikTok? As well, let me know, and I'll gladly help with that. Welcome back to the channel where we uncover some of the most shocking stories and secrets hidden in everyday pocket rarest coins. Today, we're talking about a coin that looks like any other, one that millions of people have spent without thinking twice, but one that has made headlines in the numismatic world. I'm talking about the 1981 P. Washington quarter. It might seem ordinary at first glance, but one rare version of this quarter has reportedly sold for an unbelievable $1.5 million. You heard that right. A 25-cent coin, struck in 1981 at the Philadelphia Mint, ended up being worth more than most luxury homes. So the big question is what makes this coin so valuable? How did a simple quarter go from pocket change to auction room legend? And most importantly, how can you find out if you've got one sitting in your own collection? Let's dive into the story of the 1981 P. Washington quarter, how it came to be, what makes it unique, and what details you need to look for to determine if your coin is a modern-day treasure. Let's begin with some background. The Washington quarter was first introduced in 1932 to celebrate the 200th birthday of George Washington. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse featured a left-facing portrait of Washington, while the reverse showed an eagle with wings outstretched, perched on a bundle of arrows with olive branches below. This classic design remained in use for decades, becoming one of the most recognizable coins in American currency. In 1981, the quarter was still being struck in its traditional copper-nickel-clad composition, a change that had been implemented in 1965 when the U.S. Mint removed silver from circulation coins. The coin still had that familiar look, with the reeded edge and the layered metal visible on the side. The P Mint mark on the obverse, just beside Washington's ponytail, signifies that it was minted at the Philadelphia Mint. That year, the Philadelphia Mint produced over 600 million quarters. So you might be wondering how something so common could become so valuable. The answer lies in a rare and unexpected mint error, a one-in-a-billion type of mistake that occurred in only a handful of coins. One of those coins, a 1981 P quarter with an extremely rare error and flawless condition, has become one of the most famous and valuable modern quarters ever discovered. The coin was struck on a transitional error planchet. That means it was struck on a blank mint for a different coin or possibly an older composition. Some reports suggest it was accidentally minted on a planchet intended for a foreign coin or even a leftover silver-clad blank that should not have been in the press in 1981. This error caused noticeable differences in weight and appearance, setting the coin apart from others of its year. But the rarity doesn't stop there. This particular 1981 P quarter was discovered in immaculate condition. It had never been circulated. No scratches, no nicks, no wear marks. Its surfaces were sharp, the details crisp, and the luster nearly perfect. It was later professionally graded and assigned a nearly unheard-of mint state 68 grade. Coins this old, especially from the 1980s, almost never appear in this high grade, especially with such a dramatic error. When the coin eventually reached a high-end auction, collectors and investors recognized just how special it was. It wasn't just rare, it was almost flawless. And when you combine condition, rarity, and historical significance, the price can go through the roof. That's exactly what happened. This single 1981 P. Washington quarter sold for a reported $1.5 million. Now let's talk about how you can check your own quarters to see if you've got something valuable hiding in your collection. First, check the date. Look for 1981 and make sure there's a small P on the obverse side near Washington's ponytail. That confirms it was minted in Philadelphia. Next, examine the edge. A standard 1981 quarter should have a copper-nickel edge with visible copper coloring in the middle. If the edge appears to be completely silver or a solid single tone, that could be a sign that the coin was struck on the wrong type of blank. That's your first big clue. Then, weigh the coin. A typical 1981 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams. If your coin weighs noticeably more or less, it could mean the planchet is not standard. A transitional or foreign planchet error often results in a weight that doesn't match typical U.S. quarter specifications. You should also inspect the coin closely under good lighting or a magnifying glass. Look for any off-center strikes, doubled lettering, or unusual surface textures. If you spot anything odd or different, keep that coin safe and do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its collector value completely. Your next step is to have it evaluated by a professional coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. These companies specialize in authenticating rare coins, confirming mint errors, and assigning an official grade. This process will determine whether your coin is truly rare and valuable or just an interesting conversation piece. Even if your coin isn't the $1,000,000 version, a rare 1981 P quarter with a lesser error or in high mint state condition can still be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. So it's definitely worth taking a second look at the quarters you may have sitting in a jar or tucked away in a drawer. Now, you might be wondering, why would anyone pay $1.5 million for a quarter? The answer lies in the world of serious collectors and investors. In that world, rarity is everything. Owning a one-of-a-kind coin isn't just about the metal or the denomination. It's about owning a piece of history that no one else has. It's about finding the coin that wasn't supposed to exist. That element of mystery and uniqueness is what drives the value sky-high.so. The next time you get change back from the store or dig through your old coin stash, take a close look at your quarters. You never know what you might find. That 1981 P quarter could be far more than just 25 cents. It could be a life-changing discovery. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this story about the rare and valuable 1981 P. Washington quarter, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. We've got more fascinating coin stories coming your way. Don't forget to hit that bell so you never miss an update. And tell us in the comments, have you ever found an unusual or rare coin in your pocket change? Are you going to start checking your 1981 quarters now? Stay curious, keep hunting, and as always, happy collecting. Let me know if you'd like versions of this script optimized for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, or podcast audio format. I can adjust the tone or length to fit any platform you need.